Congressman's supporters. Joining me now to talk about the dangerous Ron Paul campaign is his very dangerous son, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Senator, great to have you with us. Congratulations on your father's second place showing, strong showing, just about 23% of the vote last night. He's got to be thrilled. You all have to be very pleased.
Well, yeah, we're pretty excited about it. And I was up there in New Hampshire, and everywhere we went, we had huge crowds that they couldn't even put in most of the venues. We were up near Lake Winnipesaukee at a hotel there, and the owner said he had had presidential candidates for 20 years and never seen any with this big a crowd.
Well, the intensity of your father's support is terrific. It's noted all across the country, and it is consistent. And in a recent poll, as you well know, Governor Romney beating President Obama by 2 points, your father down by 1 point, both results obviously within the margin of error. That has got to be as well. Well, it's got to be exciting for you to see that kind of potential performance against the man ultimately that a Republican will be running against.
Yeah, do you think maybe some of these pundits on TV that keep saying Ron Paul can't win would look at the polls and see that only Ron Paul and Mitt Romney are able to compete with the president right now? And when you poll Ron Paul against President Obama, Ron Paul beats him by 7 points among independents, and yet every pundit on TV is like, oh, Ron Paul can't win. Well, maybe we shouldn't start with the conclusion. We ought to look at the numbers first.
Senator, first. Don't ask me to explain pundits off television anywhere. Two, there are some, there's some names, including my own, that I'd like to reserve from that list that you just suggested. Your father's going to have to win a race, and in order to get there. And I think that's straightforward. I've heard you complain about the media. I do so as well about the liberal media in this country. But the reality is he's going to have to win. Where's he going to win?
Well, we'd like to win in South Carolina, and we've made a simple request that I think would make it possible if all the other candidates would drop out other than Romney and it were just Ron Paul versus Romney. I think we have a chance in a head-to-head battle, but we're dividing up the vote, and unfortunately, I think the other candidates would prefer it to be the other way around, but I think that's what happens. In 2008, the conservatives divided the vote also in South Carolina and other places. And so what we do is we're fighting, I think, mostly for some of this conservative vote. And so we try to remind people when someone says they're a Reagan conservative, but they voted to double the size of the Department of Education, they voted to expand Medicare, those aren't very Reagan-esque type of policies.
And Reagan was a complicated individual, let's stipulate as well, Senator. I mean, there are a lot of his policies that would be considered to be unconservative, and some of your father's that would be considered, if you will, unconservative as well, whether we're talking about legalizing marijuana or whether we're talking about his foreign policy. But on balance, I think you have to look at the proposals that your father has made in their totality. The appeal right now has to rise to a level now significantly above what he has achieved so far. Do you think you can do it in South Carolina without all the other candidates? I mean, it would be helpful if just all the other candidates would drop out, of course. I would...
right, so you think that's not going to happen. I guess if that's not going to happen...
I'm not going to suggest such a thing.
If it's not going to happen, I think our best route to victory is still independent voters, getting independent voters out. Right. I'm not as sure with the rules in South Carolina, and I'm not sure that's a possibility. The other possibility is that we go to the voters who want a conservative alternative to Governor Romney, and we say, look, there's only one who truly is presenting a balanced budget in one term, presenting $1 trillion in cuts, who has opposed most of the big government expansions of the last several decades. There's only really one consistent conservative in the race. If we can convince conservatives to come to Ron Paul, coalesce, then I think we'd have a shot.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that as always. And, Senator, it's always good to have you with us. Appreciate it. Senator Rand Paul.
Thank you, Lou.
Thanks for being with us. And good luck in South Carolina and with those other candidates. That's an interesting proposition you put forward. And a reminder to